everyone? It is Monday, September 20th, 2021. Pretty mega gap down here so far this AM, so let's talk about it here a little bit, right? So Friday, pretty decent high volume sell off of that quad witching day, right? Today we're getting a little bit of follow through here to the downside, right? Asia and Europe overnight are pushing this thing down and really trying to get us well kind of under all of our sort of pre-market bearish kind of plans, right? So we've lost a relatively pretty big area here. It just kind of screams to me a little bit, just a little bit of caution, right? This is a mega gap down. It does tell the same story, right, as sort of that volume. But this is a huge reaction now, $7 overnight, right? Sometimes, I'd say most of the time when you get this kind of big gap down or a big gap up, right, you tend to not get that sort of continuation move. So I'm not saying that I'm a dip buyer here necessarily, right? But I think it just requires a little bit of our respect, a little bit of extra patience from us here if things kind of do recover. If we do get breakdowns or if things kind of continue to look really weak, well, we're going to have ways of playing that as well. But we'll kind of have to figure that out, right, as this day progresses. So our bearish plan or sort of what we want to do, right, we're kind of gapping out well below sort of that area here, right? We were kind of anticipating to kind of get stuck sort of at this 436 zone, and we're now gapping down under. Maybe we have a chance to get down towards that 425 area, but I wouldn't anticipate that being a move that can happen today, right? QQQ is another one of those that looks a little bit maybe challenging here as well, right? Don't even have really a plan for wanting to trade this here, right? A little bit of a trend line, maybe holding a bit of a supply zone here, holding EMA, but can't seem to get any kind of follow through or kind of real action here in either direction, right? We don't seem to be breaking down as much as the SPY, which is interesting, right? But I think that the potential that we're selling off into here, right, into this 360 zone is a little bit challenging for us to want to play with. So I'm struggling a little bit with this QQQ here this morning as well. So I don't see where this is clean to the downside. I don't see where the obvious path of least resistance, right, clean trade is. So until I see that, I'm going to be kind of staying away from this. So that's it for now, right? Apple, maybe a little bit of a cleaner story here for us, right? We're talking about how after this big sell, we kind of wanted to lose this supply zone here, right? Purple box. With this kind of highlighted whatever marker you want to call it that, right? So huge sell volume, right? Relatively controlled sell, bearish engulfing, right? Close under the EMA. So this gap down really not surprising for us, right? Relatively controlled gap down here where we're kind of getting down towards that, say, 143 area, right? Second area of our kind of pre-market resistance that we're looking at. So this thing certainly looks like it's in play today, right? If we can get those breakdowns under, right, maybe we've got a bit of a chance here to catch some follow through, right, to the downside. So if things do look weak, right, or if things kind of continue to look weak this morning in this market, and we start to get that kind of follow through to the downside, we're not really getting a super clean setup here in Q. We're not getting a super clean setup here in SPY. But we're pretty close to a very clean setup here on Apple. So this might be the bias, right, if we're going to play things to the downside here this morning. Right, Tesla is kind of an alternative, right? If we get that sort of strength, might be happy to play this to the upside here, right, above that 764. Can maybe make the argument for Tesla under the 733 area, right, kind of this zone here, this white line. If we can lose this pre-market, then maybe we've got room down towards that 720 area, maybe 725, 720, and then that 710 zone. So I think there's a little bit of potential there to the downside. My bias here on Tesla is still for this like wedge breakout, right? Pretty nice low volume consolidation, high volume bar there on Friday, but it kind of came in all at the very end there, right? So not too concerned about that here at the moment. So if we can get that follow through, right, that would be pretty strong. Above that 764, right? But in the meantime, this Tesla's kind of stuck in a relatively big range, right? Call it 733 to 765, right? Kind of looking for breakouts or breakdowns under or above either of those levels, right? Microsoft, maybe a similar story here, right? Pretty big rejection under all-time highs, and we lost that volume support, or that volume kind of pressure in this buildup, right? So on this, we're looking at this as a potential channel breakout the other day, right? Just roughly drawn in here with these yellow lines. And we're just not able to get any of that follow through, right? So had that nice increasing volume, and then that volume died off on Thursday, and then we had, so you can kind of look at that as a rejection, like a momentum rejection, right? And then that got followed up with a big volume bar, right? Big volume rejection there on Friday. So now if we can get those breakdowns, right, under this 295, look for continuation moves. Microsoft looks like it's got room down towards that 290 area. I think that's got a lot of potential to the downside if it wants to show us some weakness. And I think this could potentially be a pretty nice setup here, right? This selling volume September 17th, right, Friday, probably biggest volume kind of since mid-April, right, or end of April. So certainly gonna have to kind of respect that sort of potential directional cue that we received from Microsoft. And let's see if we can kind of get this continuation follow through, right? So a couple things to be aware of this week as well, right? A little bit of a faster pre-market video here, right? But we got FOMC on Wednesday. So we were looking, sort of talking a little bit how the last time, right, SPY closed under the 50 EMA was June 18th, right? And June 18th was also a quad witching day, so it was worth kind of comparing, right, that scenario to what we're seeing, or what we saw sort of on Friday as well, right? Pretty similar situations, right? Pretty similar context. What's different in this run-up, right, or what's different between, say, this quad witching versus the one on June 18th is that we have FOMC kind of in the run-up post-quad, right? So quad witching gets a lot of huge selling volume on the tape, right? We start to see full-body red candles across the board. And then, the market's still a little bit nervous waiting for the Fed to talk on Wednesday, right? In this June 18th run-up, right, you had Fed talking in the run-up prior to quad witching, right? Prior to that June 18th, it was like that previous Wednesday. So it was like June 16th, right, was a Fed meeting. And so we were a little bit, the market was waiting, was waiting to digest quad witching and then go, right, versus this time it's had quad witching and now it's waiting to digest FOMC. So it's a slightly different comparison. And so I'm not necessarily, maybe I'm not too surprised by this huge gap down here this morning, right? We're going to want to see what the reaction is here, right, on this kind of big gap down. I'm going to want to see what that opening volume is like. That's going to be really telling for us. If it's like that full body, like we had on Apple on Friday, right? If we can get this opening 5-min candle being, super aggressive, mega huge volume to the sell side, and it tells us kind of that same consistent story, then I'm happy to jump along and try to take this down. But because this gap down is so big, guys, we're gapping down $8 here now, right? We're gapping down almost 2%. It's hard to really want to just try to jump in here right away. So I'm going to want to be very patient with the SPY. Let's see how this thing holds up. Let's see where it can close. But I think maybe indexes might not be super tradable today. So we might be looking to play, just some of these kind of core 5, the equity portion of the core 5 names, right? Maybe we'll find something else in one of these kind of popular up and coming blueprint, yada yada yada. But I'm not, when I was doing my checks pre-market, I didn't see anything that was looking like really stronger than this Microsoft to the downside, right? Or Tesla in either direction, right? So didn't really see anything there that looked better than what we have at the moment. So going to be a little bit patient here, guys, right? This Monday might be a little bit of a trap day. This week might be a little bit of a trap day. We had a big day on Friday, so let's not give anything away. Maintain a little bit of patience post-quad witching, right? Going into FOMC, we still have a little bit of headline risk, and so we need to make sure that we're protecting ourselves from that. So that's really it, right, this morning. Yeah, let's crush it, guys, right? For those who are still watching or, if you're still checking this out, please like and subscribe. Helps bring more people to the channel. It helps them see these morning recaps, right? For those who want to trade with me like we traded on Friday, right? Start your 7-day free trial at www.dtrtrading.com. Link is in the description. Otherwise, guys, best of luck and happy hunting out there. Hope you crush it, and I will see you all tomorrow.